Mike.
And I'm Steve, and you're watching COMX-TV.
Hi, I'm Tommy Gunn.
Susie Owens, Voodoo.
Jacquelina. You're watching COMX-TV.
Spider-Man, Superman, they're all coming right to you. Venom, Bud, Archie too, they will all be here for you on COMX-TV. COMX-TV. Fantasy and enemy, what's it gonna be now? Alternative and mainstream too, here every week for you on COMX-TV. COMX-TV.
Welcome to another great show. Today's great reviews include
Humongous Man, Multiverse, Louder Than Words, and Beatrix.
Savage Dragon, Batman vs. Predator, and Curse of the Spawn.
We'll feature Pat Block of Disney Comics in our interview segment.
There's also Check Your Comic Q and a dual review of the Superman Madman Hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo.
That's right, so stay tuned as we bring you lots of good comic fun.
Few things to mention before we kick off today's show, though.
That's right, if you've read or you've heard, the station where we produce COMX-TV has been in a tailspin. So we apologize for some of the repeats that we've been showing lately.
We're so sorry. The COMX-TV In Your Face tour is getting set to begin. Our first date will be our annual Halloween Spooktacular.
That's
This
right.
is our 4th annual Spooktacular, which will be a live taping and at the Walden Pub at 1233 Walden near Harlem Road on Saturday, October 25th at 3 p.m.
That's right.
Yes.
So come out in costume to our 4th annual Halloween Spooktacular, see a live taping of COMX-TV, and of course the kids are welcome.
Yes.
We'll have free food, comics, and some other great stuff. So what else is there to say? That's October 25th, 3 p.m., Walden Pub. Now let's kick off today's show with Steve's very first comic book review.
Today, for my very first comic book review, is The Savage Dragon, Sex and Violence, #2 from Image Comics. This $2.50 book is written by Tom and Mary Bierbaum, good friends of ours, with art by several people. Can't even go through that. The story is about a stripper who has a vengeance against all men due to a very, very bad upbringing. She takes it upon herself to rid the world of men with her nifty little razors, or nifty little weapons like razor hair and laser blade arms. She acquires one heck of a collection of men's head in jars. The dragon is trying to keep his, but can he? The story was excellent. One heck of a book by the Bierbaums. I must compliment them. Very, very exciting. The art was typical Image, but much darker. You don't see too much of the violence in the normal Image books like this. There's a lot of violence, deals with a lot of older situations of child molestation and rape and all the fun stuff that shouldn't be put in books. Creator Eric Larson is nowhere to be seen except on the script assists. In other words, he did nothing for this book. There is nothing special about this book, which is forcing me to give me a not hot. Couple situations in there that really turned me off to reading the comics, so I would say this is more of an adult book than a child book, and I just was a little upset with it, so I do say a not hot this week.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Topping the comics news, the 2-year court battle involving the Oklahoma City comic book store Planet Comics has come to a sudden and unexpected end.
On September 5th, 1997, just days before the case was to go to trial, defense attorneys acting on instructions from the clients, Michael Kennedy and John Hunnard, enter a plea of guilty to the charges against them.
In return, the owners of Planet Comics were granted a 3-year deferred sentence and a fine of $1,500 each.
Under this deferred sentence, Kennedy and Hunter will serve no jail time if they are not convicted of any further criminal activities for a period of 3 years. After that time, the felonies will be permanently removed from their records.
This action was undertaken without notifying the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, which had taken on the case in support of its mission to protect First Amendment rights in the comic book industry.
The decision on the part of the defendants came as a surprise to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, as it is the policy of them to only take cases where the accused individuals agreed to plead guilty in exchange for reduced penalties.
Not to plead guilty.
Not to plead guilty.
Yes.
Didn't I say that?
I don't know.
You can't plead guilty and they'll accept it.
Exactly. So stay tuned for more of this important comics news later in today's show. My first comic book review is Humongous Man. Humongous Man.
Humongo Man.
A $2.25 book from Icon Press. This is a rather good spoof on the superhero comic, but it's not set in the modern times. It's kind of a future story with a touch of the distant past. There are many humorous acronyms throughout the story, such as CRAP, which stands for Centralized Reconnaissance Air Patrol, or DUNG, POOP, or FART. They're all goofy things. Yes, these are all acronyms for different groups and associations in the story. It's almost childish. I'm sure most of us have done those kind of things sometime. The art is very good. I enjoyed viewing the preview copy I had, but the story left me a little bit bored, so I have to give it an unfortunate not. Another preview I received was Michael Moorcock's Multiverse #1, which came out a week or so ago from DC Comics. Very nice art featuring Walt Simonson, Mark Reeve, and John Ridgway. I read the whole issue, but once again, I felt a little bored. There are several different story arcs all leading to the same point. It's an okay fantasy tale written by Moorcock, best known for his fantasy novels. After I read the second issue, I'll let you know my final outcome. But at this time, it's a knot.
Really?
2 knots. 2 knots make a right. Still coming up, we have the dual review of Batman, Madman, Hullabaloo. And next, we have an interview with Pat Block of Disney Comics. But first, let's check your comic queue.
Thank you, Michael.
You're very welcome.
I will. Check Your Comic Queue is the weekly trivia game that me and Michael play.
That's right.
We have some questions. We want to see how good of a comic fanatic you are. Today's question is... When Superman died, how many other Supermans appeared?
This should be pretty easy.
This should be an easy one.
So,
people are complaining that our questions are too hard, so we had to throw in an easy one.
Okay. Going off to our interview segment.
Yep.
This week we bring you an interview with Pat Block, who works on comics featuring Disney characters. Now let's go visit Pat in Chicago. Okay, we're here with Pat Block, who works on Donald Duck, isn't it? Is it just Donald Duck?
Well, work on Donald, do covers for other characters, for Scrooge and for occasional Mickeys, but mostly Donald Duck. My wife, Shelley, writes the stories and I draw them.
So how long have you been doing this?
About 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
And you were just telling me that you were pretty proud of a new story you'd done.
Yes, we got to work with Carl Barks, the legendary Duck guy, who drew comic books from like 1960, from 1943 to like 66. And before that, worked on the animation, created a lot of the early Donald cartoons.
Really?
And he recently just completed a 28-page Donald Duck story, which is his first long Donald story, I think, in 25 years. And I got to draw it. I was lucky enough to
Kids
draw it.
8 to 19 are invited to learn how to draw Space Ghost with comic book artist
you work for Egmont, right?
The back of the hall in the King's Kingdom, starting at 12 noon. Kids learn how to draw Space Ghost with Scott
After they're sold in overseas, then they come back over
here. Although we do have a brand new 10-pager Gladstone's buying here.
Oh, really?
To Europe. It's being published in the United States.
Really? Now, doesn't Disney have some say in that, or?
They do. Everything we do, Disney looks at, and they make changes to improve, check for spelling.
Really? It has to be perfect.
Yes.
Now,
pretty picky.
Well, they are Disney. I mean, they've got, obviously overseas, their characters are highly respected.
Yes. But the story with Carl was really fun because Carl Barks has always been my favorite comic book artist.
Really?
So getting to work with him and have him actually editing the work was really loads of fun. It was really a dream come true.
Right.
And he liked the story and the art, which was even better.
That's good, yeah.
Yes.
Now, how long have you been doing comics? Did I ask you that one?
Yeah, just for 6 years.
Okay, now.
Started with Disney.
And you started with it?
Still here.
Yeah. Now, did you find it tough, or had you drawn this stuff before?
Never drew it before. I drew the first story as far as Disney Ducks at all. I always read it and always enjoyed the Ducks the most because of Carl's input.
Right.
But I never really considered drawing them until I decided to break in.
Right.
Do it.
So did you find it tough, drawing in, because they've got a certain style?
Yes, the hardest thing about drawing the Ducks is keeping them on model, keeping looking the way they should.
Exactly.
It's really the most difficult.
Is it still?
It still is. It still is tricky to keep them looking because there's so many different angles. Donald's a character that you can draw him in almost any sort of pose.
Yeah.
And all those different poses, he has to look just right at any angle. Well, Mickey's a lot easier because there's less poses to work with. It's a simpler.
Oh, really?
character.
So who's your favorite character?
Donald probably is my favorite. I like drawing the kids, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Somehow I identify with them more. Or my wife does most of the writing, identifies with Donald because she's constantly smacking her head on things. And she has the temper like Donald. So,
Does she quack when she yells?
Yeah, she's much quicker.
Oh,
She
that's
does the
great.
writing of the stories and she tends to think like Donald. So that's good.
So it's a team, you work together on all these?
Yes.
That's good. Is it fun working together?
It's a lot of fun. We work out of our house, so we don't get away from each other. We're constantly in the same room, the same house. So whereas a lot of couples, they work and they get separated and then they come back. We're always together. So that's
Is she here with you?
yes, she is. She's dressed like a prominent DC character.
Oh, is that the
Batman, yeah.
Poison Ivy, I believe I saw?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that why you sent her away? Because you're with her so much?
She's out running around and enjoying her costume.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad that you got to do this. And when will this be coming out?
This will be coming out overseas first, within probably the next 3 or 4 months, and then within the next year, I would say, it'll come out over here.
Really? It takes that long?
Gladstone told me that they're going to publish it in comic book and album format.
Really?
Yes.
Just this one story?
Yes.
Wow, that's great. They're going to make a big deal out of it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So here's one of the 2 covers that I've done for it.
That's great.
It's called Somewhere and Nowhere.
Somewhere and Nowhere. That's great. Well, I appreciate you talking with us.
My pleasure.
My next book, it's been a long time coming. It is Batman vs. Predator 3 from DC and Dark Horse Comics. 2 blockbuster properties take on each other in this $1.95 book written by Chuck Dixon, who also wrote the last 2. Ding, 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 round 3 for Batman. In summer, when gang wars heat up in Gotham, guess who shows up for some hunting? Dun, dun, dun.
Under who?
Yes, you guessed it, our Predator friends.
Yay!
But after some hunting, they find out there's some better prey around. Yes, one of Batman's worst enemies, Mr. Freeze. But will he become friend or foe to these beasts? Gotta read the books and find out. This book was excellent. Round 3 is better than round 1 and 2 combined. Bringing in Mr. Freeze just added the tip of the iceberg, you might say. Bad pun, I know. But to the storyline. The art is similar to those issues of Lost, but which was typical, plain and simple. The art was good, but nothing special, nothing jumped off the page yet in this story. The book deserves a great rating, so I give it a hot. Pick it up if you can still find it in the stores. It is a really good read.
Excellent. Excellent.
Excellent.
And next we've got coming up, we've got our In Your Face tour stops, which we will be showing you And I have Sergio Aragone's Louder Than Words, #1.
Louder than words?
Yes!
Okay.
From Dark Horse Comics to whopping $2.95. Aragone's work has been at the forefront of Mad Magazine for many years. Then there was Gru and some other comic projects. Louder Than Words shows him at his best. Slapstick comedy a la silent film with no text. Any of these comics could fall right out of the pages of Mad. That's how good they are. They're funny. Many of them hit right home. Sergio is a class act that makes comics fun. The biggest problem I have is it's $2.95. It's 24 pages of humor at $2.95, and that seems awfully expensive. I like the book, but I would not pay $2.95 for it, so I have to give it a not. Sorry, Sergio. Root is a series of comics from Custom Comics of America. On the surface, it looks like a cute dog story with a bunch of talking animals and their female master. Underneath is a boring story. Although they claim it's all ages, it's not really that great. Women falling out of their tops. Does this sound like an all ages book? I think not. Other antics make this book not something the censors would pass by. Out of the 4 books I received, I couldn't finish more than 2 of them, as the story was boring, uneventful, did not want to leave me, or didn't want to make me flip the page. So pass by, Rooter. Just pass it by.
Zip it by?
That's right.
And same with Louder Than Words!
That's right. Pass it by.
Okay. Don't forget, you could write to us here at COMX TV at P.O. Box 220, Buffalo, New York, 14225. Or email us at comixtv@localnet.com.
That's right. Visit the website. This is Rich's Ramblings, courtesy of Rich Johnson.
Remember, these rumors are presented here as gossip for the entertainment value only.
This is our E-set.
And we couldn't even get John Hansen on here.
Actually, this one is a confirmed kill.
Confirmed, huh?
Yes.
Marvel is entering a new wave of creator-owned books. They are actively seeking out, reprinting, and stealing classics from other publishers.
Marvel wants to republish Savior by Mark Millar, redrawn from the original, concluding the story with Alex Ross covers.
Marvel wants to republish Zenith by Grant Morrison and Steve Yao with Alex Ross covers.
Marvel wants to publish Astro City by Busiek and Anderson.
Marvel is actively seeking out old and new books alike and offering great deals. The line will be headed up by Marie Jarvis, who has been rehired on an editorial basis by Marvel, and it's Javins.
Yeah.
Javins.
There we go.
Jarvis, Javins.
He got it. I spit it.
That Marie chick.
Marie partly confirmed the story and that it was slightly exaggerated. She has agreed to work part-time as the creator-owned editor and is pitching lots of material, but is not quite sure what Marvel's needs will be.
She hopes to print a wide variety, including reprints similar to Akira, Morbius, but with something like Zenith or Savior.
Her first mission is to print material by people who have stuck by Marvel through the difficult times.
And that's it for this week's rumor. Tune in next week and see some more.
That's right. Now back to Planet Comics. They opted for deferred sentence, and the words sting the ears of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund.
To say that we're all disappointed is an understatement, said Susan Alston, Executive Director of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, speaking on behalf of the Board of Directors.
In human terms, we all share in a sense of relief that Kennedy and Hunter's long ordeal is over. They were convicted in violation of their rights as Americans under the provisions of the First Amendment to the Constitution.
In all likelihood, their conviction will have a chilling effect on retailers to choose to display to sell in high-risk jurisdictions.
The Planet Comics case sprang from a police raid on the store in September of 1995. Police were tipped off by Oklahomans for Children and Families, OCAF, a nonprofit obscenity watchdog group dedicated to the enforcement of local obscenity laws.
Unreal. Following the raid, Kennedy and Hunter were arraigned in handcuffs, charged with trafficking, keeping the sale and display obscene material deemed to be harmful to adults.
Adults, come on.
Not
Come
even
on.
kids, adults.
Central to the charges was the book Veronica, number 4, which also garnered the initial and more serious charge of child pornography for drawings in the story Devil's Angel by Frank Thorne.
The bottom line is, these two guys lost their business after 2 police raids, were treated like an everyday criminal just for selling comics.
If this irritates you as much as it does us, then help us to fight. The Comic Book Legal Defense Fund will be collecting for them at the In Your Face tour, and we'll be auctioning off a copy of Mike Diana's original plea to the Supreme Court.
This is a very rare item with only a couple hundred of these printed worldwide.
Censorship is becoming big business in the United States. Help stamp out censorship in your area. If you have any questions, write to us here at COMX-TV for more information. That is it for the comics news this week. Still coming up, this dual review of the Superman, Madman hullabaloo, and the answer to today's comic Q. But first, here's Steve with another wonderful comic book review.
Yes, wonderful.
Just do it.
My final review today, I pulled from the bottom of the barrel. Curse of the Spawn number 12. It was a mere $1.95 for this book. This is a story about Jessica Priest, the most evil woman I have ever read about in any comic.
My goodness.
From the beginning, when she was just 4 years old and killed her parents, to now when she's a highly paid terrorist killing everyone in sight. The story was okay. There was nothing spectacular about this book except it was very, very violent. And for me to say that, for me to say that, it's got to be like that. The art was very imagey. It looked just like a regular Image magazine. I mean, it was unreal. Very definitive. Another artist from the Image school of how to draw comic book characters. Big muscles, large chests, you know how. And people pick on Rob Liefeld? Come on, give me a break. There was absolutely not one thing I liked about this book except for the last panel on page 7. The book is definitely not hot. Even at $1.95, it wasn't worth it. The photo cover was nice, though. That was about one of the only other things. So,
Page 7, bottom panel, had a nice picture.
yes, it did, very much so.
The Traveling Travelall is a $1.50 mini comic from Pam Bliss. The stories are cute and funny. They travel around in a 1961 International Harvester that is a time machine. You can tell Pam enjoys and has fun with her comics. There needs to be more fun in comics and not just trying to cash in on something like I think a previous review of mine was and is. Traveling Travelall is a fun book. Look for it or write Pam at P.O. Box 304, V-A-P-A-R-A-I-S-O, Indiana 46384. I don't even know how to say that. Valparaiso. My final review this week is Beatrix, number 1 from Vision Comics. Vision has taken some of the anthropomorphic tales that Antarctic Press used to publish before they went Warrior Nun crazy and put them under one roof. Books like Tank Vixens, Shanda the Panda, Catmandu, and of course Beatrix. This is an all-new compilation of her origin, redone in color and with a very low print run of only 2,000 ordered earlier this year when the book first came out. Beatrix is a bunny who is killed and saved by some aliens who give her some special powers and an unremovable costume. The book is fun, colorful, 32 pages, $1.95, so look for it on your grocer's shelves. And I give this book a hot.
How can Beatrice be killed and saved?
Well, Beatrix,
Hallelujah, you're saved! Okay.
pretty much how the aliens did it. She was kind of floating, they grabbed her, and yeah.
Okay, I get the hint. Okay, and now, the answer to today's Check Your Comic Q. And what was the question?
The question was, when Superman died, how many Supermans reappeared upon his rebirth? And what is the answer, Mr.
And
Steve?
the answer is, drum roll please, 4. Yes, 4. Can you name all 4 though? There's another trick question.
One of them just had a very quick movie run.
Yes, one of them just had a very, very quick movie done. I think it was up at the show for
It was about as
35 minutes. Didn't even last a week. And while we're on that, I had a chance to check out the Nightman series, which is a comic book that used to be from Malibu Comics.
Right.
And here we go. We'll give you a great review on this one. Don't bother.
It's on
WB. WB. I got a chance to check it out Friday night, and bottom line, don't bother. This was terrible. This is trying to live up. They're combining different characters in with this guy, like Shadow Man and Superman and him now, Nightman and Mantra. It was terrible. The series was terrible. I mean, I was catching bits and pieces. For the first hour and a half, you couldn't understand what was going on, other than that the government had secret armor that one would make you fly, one made you bulletproof, one you could see the future. Well, he could see the future because he got shocked by lightning on a subway car, which was another one of the Invincibles, another book that Malibu put out. So, and another one was, and then when I turned it back on later, this female assassin was sitting in his living room and he was pouring wine, and this little tarantula crawled out of a box that was next to his couch, bit her, and she died and crawled back in. Stupid. It was absolutely stupid. This is going to be, I think, probably one of the shortest series that WB will ever carry. It was terrible. Don't bother.
Horrible, horrible.
Horrible, horrible.
Today on the Dual Review, we bring you the Superman Madman Hullabaloo. I keep saying Batman. Madman Hullabaloo from DC in Dark Horse Comics. It's $2.95. This is issue number 2 of 3. Steve?
Okay, you want me to explain it?
Well,
Superman and Madman switch identities.
I don't think it was done on purpose.
No,
I think
it wasn't.
Some kind of time
warp where Superman went into Madman's time zone and assumed his identity, and Madman went back into Superman's and assumed his.
Yeah.
We've seen this in many, many books before, traveling through time back and forth to different...
But the thing is, they assume the identity in that the Madman character is actually Superman, right?
Yes, the Madman character is actually Superman, the Superman character is actually Madman.
Which is confusing because you're looking at one person, and especially since it's a comic book, because you can't hear what they're saying, so all the voices sound the same.
So you're seeing Superman standing there and people are saying, Madman, Madman, come and help us. And very confusing.
And they have different kinds of powers, too, which play into this.
Yes. I read this book about 5 times, and I still didn't fully understand this book. Well, it was confusing to me.
It is. Madman is a confusing it's not. It is not a straight-ahead superhero kind of book.
No,
it's an alternative superhero kind of book, and it's different.
Yes.
And the artwork is very good.
The artwork was very good. It was your basic DC artwork.
Yeah, I mean, it was crisp, clean, no caffeine, that
crisp
kind of stuff.
And clean and no caffeine.
It was very, very.
I got it over here.
Yeah, there it is. It's very good stuff.
It almost looks like the Superman Batman animation hour type comic.
True. True.
It's hard to even explain. It's very, very bright and colorful. That I will say.
Well, this one is definitely done in the Madman style, because he's got a certain style that he does.
Number 1 was done in the Superman.
Mike Allred does.
Number 1 was done in the Superman style.
Now he's got a certain style, and it's not bad, but it's
passable.
It's passable. But if you got to go out and spend $3 to buy this, no.
Exactly. On this one, I got to give it a not hot. I wouldn't. I would have probably just picked it up, glanced through it.
It's probably a fun story, but it wasn't that interesting.
You're probably wrong there. I wouldn't even find it a fun story.
Okay, it's boring.
It's boring.
It's a not. Forget it.
It's a not.
Okay, thanks for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoyed this show. As always, let us know what you think. Coming next week, we have a dual review of Vampirilla Wetworks. And we also have an interview with Joe Ottaviani. Today's music was by Zovan and Project 33. Before I go, I want to say hi to Steve Nagy of Buffalo, who was stalking me in a local Target store. My name is Mike Rizzo. Remember that. It's Mike, not Steve.
And I'm Steve Przybyla. And like we say each and every week, reading is your best investment. Not investment, investment. Read a book. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
And tell them when you see visit your local comic book store. Tell them you've seen us on COMX-TV, the world's best comic book show. And don't forget, Saturday, October 25th, 3 p.m., Walden Pub, the first stop of the COMX-TV In Your Face tour. Come dressed up and have a good old time.
And last but not least, November 14th through 16th up in Niagara Falls, we've got a nice comic book show with Joe Quesada, Palmiotti, Louis Small Jr., and Rick Buckler Jr. This is by Phil Conley. It's going to be a good show. It's a collector's show. There's going to be a lot of stuff there. Go.
Check it out, pick it up, and take care. Peace. See you later.